Welcome to the September 2011 edition of Curriculum Connection. I'm Medford's Curriculum Director, Laura Lundy. For over 6 years, the Medford School District has been tackling the age-old problem, how do we ensure that all kids can read? What we found is that figuring out how to solve a child's reading problem is much like solving a Rubik's Cube. It can be done, but it's not always easy.
One of the most important things I've learned is that reading is very difficult to break apart. Reading is an overall general process that kids are good at or need help in. And as teachers, we always want to try to find the one specific skill or thing that we want to tear apart and get at. And we try that and we do that. But just because we fix the decoding piece doesn't mean we fix the comprehension piece, or doesn't mean we fix the fluency piece.
I think one of the most important things that we've tried to focus on here at MAMS is basically getting kids the help that they need, regardless of their label for special education or maybe a 504 plan. Just trying to get all kids the assistance that they need in the area of reading, and then also targeting specifically what their need in reading is, because there are different components of reading that we need to focus on in order to help them make gains.
For the past 6 years, we have created a system that helps our students learn to read. In order to be effective, we need solid assessments, intervention programs, trained staff, and an efficient communication plan. The first change our district made was in 2006 when we implemented a universal assessment system called NWEA MAP testing. However, we knew that one assessment wasn't enough. We learned that we needed multiple valid assessments to not only diagnose a child's reading challenges, but also to track his or her reading progress. Therefore, we've added additional assessments.
The Gray Oral Reading Test, or it's called the GORT for short, is something that we've brought in, I want to say in the last 3 years, probably 3 or 4 years. And that's a large assessment piece for us to determine, where kids struggle, at least as a nice, introduction to see, are they struggling with decoding, are they struggling with fluency, is there a comprehension issue? It's not entirely diagnostic, but it allows us to at least know where to look into further. So that's been a nice piece. We've also brought in Ames Web, which has been very helpful in monitoring how kids are progressing through their interventions. And I think we're lucky as a district to have it. A lot of school districts our size have to kind of piecemeal curriculum together in order to progress monitor. And so being able to have Ames Web is just a nice, easy format to be able to do that.
6 years ago, Medford had 3 reading programs. Today, we offer approximately 15 research-based reading programs throughout our district, such as Reading Assistant, Fast Forward, Aerobics, Corrective Reading, Read 180, Foundations, and Wilson. The question is, have we made a difference? Have we been able to increase the number of students learning to read? Middle school principal Al Leonard says that the big picture data is positive.
Of test scores, our WKCE scores are increasing as a universal screener. Our NWA scores are increasing. Last year at the middle school we had an all-time high of kids that made their NWA goal, specifically in reading, which was good. That's both advanced proficient kids and basic minimal kids, so the whole bunch is moving up. We're scoring better on that test than we ever have.
Another source of data is the number of students in programs. Elementary Principal Dan Miller says fewer students are in our elementary programs since he started 4 years ago.
4 years ago when I started here, our reading teachers had anywhere from 5 to 6 to sometimes 7 kids in their classrooms that they were working with in reading, and classroom teachers were wanting to push more in there, get more support. Right now we're at about 3 kids per classroom. For the reading teachers are working with 3 kids per classroom in order to get the support. So some of that is the classroom teachers are picking up more of that differentiation in their own classroom, and some of it is the kids just aren't needing that kind of level of intensive support, and they're able to make it in the classroom. So.
Beyond the hard data, however, is a more powerful indication of success. By listening to the parents and students who have been directly affected by our reading programs, we can learn the impact that we've had on our kids.
It was a very smooth transition when we came into public school, which I was very happy about. And then we went through and just created a plan that fit what accommodations would be good for her, and it was nice to see something in black and white. And my biggest fear was going from being in the private school and knowing they just kind of figured out how to help the child And I kind of had this, I don't know, if you would be, like a premeditated problem that I saw in the back of my head, like, okay, when we go over there, are they not going to help her unless she has this piece of paper or something like that? And none of that was even an issue. It just was very fluent. We went from, that procedure and then identified that she was going to be in the Wilson program. And she showed so much. It was like boom. From reading nothing, I mean, she literally didn't read anything at all until like second grade, where she even started to, dabble. And once she broke through some of her dyslexia hurdles, she, was still not interested. It was only a forced reading. And then once she came here and she got in that Wilson program, she went from reading nothing to reading Twilight series to, being interested in reading and pulling books off herself to read. And so I am extremely happy because of, just seeing that there, it went from nothing to a complete desire.
She was diagnosed with dyslexia. At that point, she was on track then to try the Wilson program for third grade. So she went into the Wilson program, and I tell you, things have just blossomed. The whole sounding things out, putting it, chunking it, understanding digraphs and blends. And now when I listen to her read, it's like, wow, it's amazing. And she's very excited. So she has been with Wilson for third and fourth grade. She's now in the fifth grade, and just the other day she picked up a chapter book, because she's a very hesitant reader. And she picked up a chapter book and she read the whole thing, and I said, there is no way you read that. And she goes, yeah.
8th grader Emily says she hasn't always liked reading, but in 5th grade, that changed. What made you like reading?
I guess we found out I had dyslexia, and then we got my medicine so I could focus. That's part of the reason I couldn't focus at all. And then also Wilson. It helped me out a lot, like to where I could understand them, how I could understand, how I could sound them out. And like in Oldergast, it's hard to pronounce, but the reason I know all those sounds and how to pronounce them is because of Wilson, because they showed me all the different meanings.
Emily has some great advice for kids who, like her, struggled with reading.
Don't really be scared of it or embarrassed. Yeah, I was embarrassed of it because it was all my friends weren't in it. No one needed to do it. But then once I was reading books, I went from reading books to having trouble reading books this hard to reading books this thick and not having any trouble. And my friends would struggle with the words, and I'd say, this is what it is. And they're like, oh, thanks. So, and I also got the nickname Wilson, the Human Dictionary, because I would tell them what it meant and how it would sound and the different meanings, because I could read those words and then I looked them up.
Wilson trainer Catherine Campbell says one reason Medford has been so successful is that our teachers have implemented the programs with fidelity.
I have worked with Medford. This is actually my third year working with Medford, and I love coming here because the teacher commitment and dedication is amazing. Everybody's excited about going through learning a new training, learning a new curriculum, and when they apply it with fidelity and implement it with fidelity, which is huge. That's what you need to do, whether it's Wilson.
Although we have made progress over the last few years, we will always have areas to work on.
MASH is maybe a little bit behind. I think that's kind of a natural progression, and as kids move up into the higher levels, that's natural that the support tapers off and there is less to offer. But I think that we're also working on getting more there as well. It takes a long time, and in order to do it well, it requires some time to really think through things and do it well, so that it's not just.
As we progress, we will continue to monitor our progress and our programs so that we can continue to help kids read. Because just like solving the Rubik's Cube, if students are taught the right strategies and given ample practice, the reading puzzle can be solved. For Curriculum Connection, I'm Laura Lundy.